Have we been totally blind to Apple's plan for iOS this entire time? So the biggest video I ever made on this channel was a video called Apple's Secret Plan for the iPad Pro. But I was totally wrong, and what they might actually be doing is so much bigger than that. What's going on, YouTube? Yes, today we are going to talk about what I think is the most neglected product that Apple makes. Certainly none more as crucial to the running of all their most popular devices. Yes, I'm talking about the software, I'm talking about iOS and macOS. I'm going to talk about where they started, what we're doing now, and the incredible future that I think is on the way. So if that sounds like a good time, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech, philosophy, and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Grant Geek Show. Okay, so iOS gets its beginnings, in fact it's rooted in macOS.
iPhone runs OS 10.
But to cover the history of macOS would make this video much longer than it already is. So we're going to start in 2007 with the original iPhone. And what many people don't realize is that iOS was just as revolutionary, almost just as revolutionary as the iPhone itself. For many people, this was a brand new experience. Gone were the clunky, blocky, purely functional menus of their old flip phone, Razors, Blackberries, you name it, and in comes this smooth, buttery grid of apps with toggles and switches and the skeuomorphic design, the likes of which we hadn't really seen in the world. It was a radical departure from everything that we knew before. And yes, for the Android fans who are watching this, I know that they didn't invent all these features, but never before did it all come together in a cohesive package that is the iPhone as we know it today. So it comes onto the market, and what happens next? Well, honestly, with iOS, it becomes a feature race, right? So like I mentioned before, Android had so many different features, not all of them working great, but the creme de la creme floated to the top, and that's what people wanted to see most in the iPhone. We wanted to see a dedicated app switcher and multitasking. We wanted a control center so that we could play, pause music, or turn on and off the Wi-Fi without having to go into the settings menu. And so all of these things were added, not to mention the fact that the iPhone didn't originally even record video. So those features were added, and more features were added until about September of 2013, when people had gotten so tired of the skeuomorphic design of iOS. Now, they did move on from that, but it served its purpose. You have to remember that, once again, this was the first time people were being introduced to an operating system like this, and it served iOS's intuitive ability and its ease of use, was that a lot of things simply looked exactly as they looked in the real world. The Notes app looked like a piece of paper, as where by 2013, most people knew how to get around an iPhone, and so they no longer needed the skeuomorphic design. Okay, so now let's catch the Mac back up. As aforementioned, macOS was leading the way, and the roots of iOS started in macOS. Well, now macOS began to take a backseat to iOS, as Apple was selling many, many, many times more iPhones than Macs when the iPhone became the global phenomenon that it continues to be to this day. And so features that were on iOS were then slowly starting to trickle over to macOS. It was a reverse of the flow. Also, the skeuomorphic design was on both macOS and iOS, and now that iOS had moved on to the new iOS 7 design, macOS started to follow suit. In fact, you take a look at macOS today, and the design language is exactly the same as iOS, the only difference being layout and functionality. So then, with iOS firmly in the driver's seat when it came to software at Apple, where did it go from there? Well, it honestly went back to a feature war. Apple making tweaks and design changes, slight design changes, nothing radical. And the creme de la creme features from Android, Apple would take their own sweet time, perfect, so to speak, and then implement them on iPhone. Of course, at this time, we had the iPad as well as the Apple Watch, and so Apple was super reluctant to make any changes to iOS to ensure a seamless, smooth, consistent experience across all the iOS devices. And we're only now seeing what people have wanted for such a long time, iOS for iPad starting to separate from iOS for iPhone and other devices. But I think we've all noticed in the last 2 or 3 iterations of iOS, not much is changing, even when it comes to features and functionality. All the services are working better together, but nothing specifically for iOS has been radically different, either in look and feel or in functionality. And people were screaming for design change after going through less than 7 years of the skeuomorphic design. We're at 8 going on 9 years for the iOS 7 look, and it's still been quiet. Now, I believe this is because Apple is about to make a huge change. It's going to be incredible, but before we get to that, I do want to stop and let you guys know that we now have a membership on the channel, and I'm super excited to give you guys so much more value than I'm typically able to do on the Granite Geek Show. You're going to get exclusive videos with me just talking more about the behind the scenes of the show. If you are definitely looking to get into being a tech YouTuber, I gotta recommend this, because I'm going to share, how I became kind of popular on YouTube, my first semi-viral video, my relationships with your favorite tech YouTubers at this point, and why brands are now reaching out, all that kind of stuff. But you're also going to get to see never before seen episodes, lost episodes that never made air, and also, sketches and designs, how I think about the show, how I develop episodes and all that. You're also going to get to vote on what content I'm going to release next, and also what I'm going to cover in the future. So it's a great way to support the channel, and I also get to know you guys a little bit better, show you guys a little bit more of me. So from there, let's talk about the future of iOS. Now, I had made a video, this was my most popular video to date, about the secret plan that Apple had for the iPad Pro. And oh boy, was I wrong, but it is so much better than that. You see, I thought that macOS would be coming to the iPad Pro. After 8 or 9 years of the same iOS, and iOS and macOS seemingly kind of being neglected and growing stale, I think it's because Apple has diverted many of their resources in R&D and even software into developing a uni software. That's a bad name. Let's call it Apple OS. This is going to be a single software that can run on any Apple device, your Apple Watch, iPhone, iPad, and even Apple Glass. And I think this is a really big reason that we've seen delays in everything from the Apple Car to the Apple Glasses. Is because they're going to be running this Apple OS software. Now, of course, more and more features are going to be unlocked and enabled as you have more and more powerful hardware. Everything from the chip in the Apple Watch to the M1 Max, or even the new rumored 12-core M1 Maxer. It just makes sense. It's the next logical step to make now that all of their silicon needs can be fulfilled by them. It's not just hardware, it's software, and now it's the silicon itself. They can do this, and honestly, when you look at what their R&D and software teams have been doing with macOS and iOS the last several years, I don't want to be mean, but it's not really that crazy. So this leads me to believe that they've been spending their time on other things. A universal OS, or Apple OS, so to speak. I think this is going to be so much bigger than anything that they could just bring to the iPad. That is the future that I think is coming for all of our Apple devices. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget, the new membership is available now. I've already started posting new things. I've even started working on some merch. Links to everything will be down in the description below, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button and click the bell to stay tuned for more content like this, where we take a different look, the techosophy of the tech world. Stay tuned as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.